Joining me now is Enes Yalman, who is the director of the International Office at the Ibn Khaldun University. Enes, thank you very much indeed for coming in to talk to us. It's just about 12 hours, isn't it, since the result was confirmed, so still very, very fresh. Are you still, are you still digesting it and trying to understand how it happened, or are you convinced that the result was something concrete that you were already expecting? I suppose I should put it like that.
Well, thank you for having me here. We're not surprised with the results, as the survey and opinions before the elections were showing that Tayyip Erdogan will be winning the presidential, will be the first executive president, of course. But the main, let's say, the problem was in the parliamentary elections, where HDP was the key, where they're going to pass the 10% threshold or not. And of course, they passed, and now there are a new challenge in the parliament, where AK Party and MHP under the People's Alliance with the Nation Alliance, where a few other opponent parties are allied together. That's the real challenge now, and I think the next few days will be cleared after Recep Tayyip Erdogan's balcony speech last night in Ankara has said that this election results and the victory of Turkey is not his own people and party, but the 81 million of Turkey, and they should forget about the arguments of the the campaigns of the elections, and those are the incidents between those different parties, and start to plan and work for the future of Turkey. And of course, Tayyip Erdogan, unofficially now elected as the first executive president, and it is the first time where the officially alliance between the parties are happening in Turkey. Before the elections, Turkey has a good experience in elections, but previously the alliance were not formally, but this time it happened formally, so it was more challenging on how they're gonna work after that on the real plan.
Okay, let's break some of that down, okay, because you talk about the alliances that were formed. The new electoral law allowed these alliances to be formed, and you've mentioned some parties. Let's make it clear for the international audience. AK Party is Erdogan's party.
Yes.
MHP is the party into which it's entered this alliance. Those two together have a majority in parliament. And then you mentioned the HDP. Important to note that that's the pro-Kurdish party. But you said that that was significant, that the HDP party had passed the 10% threshold, which means they now have members of parliament, 67, I believe. Just explain why that's an issue in terms of how this new parliament will work. Because
HDP is the opposition and opponent party with the alliance of the People's Alliance, which contains Erdogan.
But if the AK Party's alliance with the MHP has a majority, they should still be able to go forward with their plans.
Of course, they're going to get ahead. But if HDP didn't pass that 10% threshold, their voices will be going rationally to the other parties, where AK Party, if that happened, will get the full control of the parliament. But that didn't happen, so AK Party now needs to get an alliance with another party, most probably with the MHP, and they still have the majority of the parliament members.
How do you think the AK Party will go about trying to get the approval of the MHP? Will they maybe even try to bring some MHP parliamentarians into the AK Party? And is it normal for these kind of coalitions to take place in agreements between parties that are standalone
you mean moving
entities.
the members from
Yes.
MHP to...
Yes.
I don't think that will be happening. But
So
they
MHP
do
will
a
stay as
coalition.
MHP, but will work with AK Party. You're convinced that they'll be able to work together?
Of course, that's how they allied together before the elections.
Yes, but that was
even
for
the
a particular
presidential.
reason, wasn't it? It was after the coup in 2016.
I think those
MHP said,
promises
no,
will
we need this kind of system. We need President Erdogan to carry out what's required to keep the country secure. Is that
For
still the
MHP
situation?
and AK Party, it was win-win coalition and alliance. And now I think there should be promises between those two alliances will be continued after the elections. So I think AK Party most probably will go ahead allying with the MHP in the parliament again.
Okay, 1.6 million people were voting for the very first time. That's a significant number. We don't know the details yet of the breakdown of the demographics of who voted in which part of the country for whom, in terms of the age of the people, in terms of how they might be thinking they would like the future of Turkey to go. Because every leader of the country needs to think about what's happening in the next 20, 30, 40 years, because those young people will become the breadwinners, the decision makers, the people that drive the country forward.
Yeah.
What's your feeling about those young people?
When Turkey went to the election of the referendum last year to decide whether they're going to go to the presidential system or not, one of the main points of that was to 18 and above people, I mean the youth, gonna go for the elections, or they were already going, but I mean the 25 age was the candidate limit age, and now it came down to 18, where we saw a lot of youth people are now elected as members of the parliaments in the AK party, and that gave a chance for other parties as well to bring candidates that are youth. Well, I think that it's a good experience. Well, they're gonna build their personalities from the very young age, and go ahead to plan for the future of that party, and of course for the country itself. But I think that one of the maybe the how could I say, the snap election didn't give enough time for some parties like AK Party to promote what AK Party did last 20 years almost for the country, because the youth that are the new generation are actually very passionate youth who get passionate very easily and forgets very easily. So the strategy of AK Party for explaining about the tunnels and bridges and all wouldn't so much into the youth, where they need more projects, I think. And that's one of the reasons maybe like AK Party didn't get the full voice and lost some voice for other parties
and
as
so
well.
if you don't mind, I want to get one more question, and we've only got about 40 seconds. The state of the economy. Some people say that Erdogan called the election early because he's worried that the economy is going to deteriorate further. If he had stuck to the original electoral schedule, that would have counted against him. But
Well,
the issue now is, can he rescue the economy? It kind of needs rescuing. Just briefly, if you don't mind.
Definitely, that will be happen, because the coup attempt, after it failed, they started to go an economic coup against Turkey, which failed once or twice. And that was one of the reasons they called the snap election. So they have the new strategy for Turkish economy and its foreign policy, where make Turkey more stable, but that needs a power that put the exact decisions for the economy and for the investors to come to Turkey and overall.
Okay, and we have run out of time, but really appreciate it. Enes Yalman, thank you very much indeed